On today's You Asked, how to get cinematic sound in an apartment without pissing off your neighbors. In-ceiling 7.1 surround versus 5.1.2 Atmos surround, which would be better? What's the best TV under $500 to buy this Black Friday? And why don't more reviewers test TV tuners? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and this is You Asked, the show where I answer questions you asked in hopes that I can help you and others with similar tech questions. If you've got a question for me, please email it to youasked@digitaltrends.com, and we'll see if your question gets picked to be answered on the show. Before I get going, just a quick note for anyone who's been tuning in for the Knit Nerds news show and wondered why no episode this week. I've got an update for you at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Doug writes, Caleb, I have a great TV and love its picture, but I also think audio is just as important for the whole movie watching experience. However, I live in an apartment, so the whole 5.1 full-size speaker thing is not really possible. Even a soundbar seems antisocial. So what are my options? Doug, I feel your pain. I used to pick specific apartments, sometimes townhouses, with a neighbor only on one side and on the opposite side of my audio system because I didn't want to give up on having great sounding music and movies in my space. I did upset a few neighbors in the years that I bounced around from apartment to apartment. And honestly, some apartments are built with walls that are super thin or under insulated, so even moderate sound bleeds through. It's super hard to be an audio enthusiast in apartment and some condo situations. Honestly, man, I think the best answer is headphones. Granted, that's gonna mean a party of one, so I'd recommend a standalone soundbar with decent bass for watching with others. And when you really wanna crank it up, you use the headphone rig. If it were me, I'd probably get an Apple TV box and either the AirPods Pro 2 or the AirPods Max. The spatial audio that you get from that system is stunningly good. You could even look into adding bass transducers under the cushions of your couch, though that buzzing could potentially bother others too. You can use other wireless headphones too. Actually, maybe you get the Sonos Ace headphones and a Sonos Arc right now, or down the road you could use a Sonos Beam Gen 2 or a Sonos Ray. That way you can skip the Apple TV if you want and still get spatial audio in the headphones and a soundbar for listening and watching with others. Bluetooth headphones can also work, but sometimes there's lag, like audio and video sync issues, and rarely any surround support. So I would say either the Apple TV and AirPods bundle or the Sonos Ace headphones with one of those Sonos soundbars. The Arc works with the Ace headphones now, and then the Beam and Ray will work with the Ace later this year. I'd personally do one of those two options. Chip Kipple wrote in explaining that he put a 7-channel in-ceiling speaker system in his home when it was built in 2013. He just got a 98-inch Sony X90L, congratulations, and is looking at getting a new receiver too, which brings up the question of whether to use his speaker system in a 7.1 configuration or in a 5.1.2 Dolby Atmos configuration. And along with that, he's wondering what the immersive effect of Atmos might be like in his situation. So Chip, you do have a slightly tricky situation going on here. Dolby Atmos effects are meant to come from above you, and you can accomplish this with well-placed in-ceiling speakers, or in some cases, you bounce sound off the ceiling with speakers aimed up at the ceiling from down below. Those Dolby Atmos channels, the 0.2 or 0.4 at the end of a number string like 5.1.2 or 7.1.4, those refer to Dolby Atmos channels. You can have 2 or 4 of them, again, depending on your speaker configuration. But the important thing to understand here is that they're meant to help complete a dome of sound. So ideally, the other speakers in a Dolby Atmos system would be at a lower elevation in the room, firing at you, as opposed to down to you. Your situation is actually pretty common. A lot of folks choose to go with all in-ceiling speakers rather than a blend of in-wall speakers and in-ceiling, or a blend of floor-standing speakers and in-ceiling. So you can imagine with all of your speakers up in the ceiling, you're going to need to rely on some psychoacoustic trickery to make it seem like the front, left, right, and center channels are coming at you from the screen level, as opposed to seeming like they're coming at you from the ceiling level. And the setup algorithms built into modern receivers today can help you achieve that. Now, for your situation, I see you as having two options. You can wire up your speakers to your receiver as a standard 7.1 system where you have front, left, right, and center, plus side surround speakers and surround back speakers. Or you can wire and set it up as a 5.1.2 system where you have front, left, right, and center, and then your side surround speakers become Atmos speakers, leaving your rear surround speakers to take on the role of the side surround speakers. Now, without knowing the location and distance relative to your seating area that those surround speakers reside, it's really hard for me to give you good advice here. I'd say if the rear surround speakers are way behind you, then you might want to just go with the 7.1 arrangement. If the side surrounds are pretty close to you and the rear surrounds aren't too far back, the 5.1.2 Atmos arrangement could work. I will say that if I was installing this system, I'd try both and decide which sounds better to me. But that means you're gonna have to do a little bit of work. You'll need to move speaker wires on the back of the receiver from one set of outputs to another, and then you'll need to go into the receiver's speaker setup menu and make some adjustments there too. In the case of a 7.1 system, you'll hook up all the speakers to the designated outputs on the receiver for surrounds and surround backs, and then tell your receiver you don't have height speakers for Atmos. You can try that out with a couple of movie clips and make mental notes of how it sounds to you. Then you need to unplug the side surround speakers from the surround outputs and move the rear surround speakers to the side surround speaker outputs, and then take what were your side surround speakers and move them to a height channel output. That may sound confusing. It does sound confusing, but hopefully it'll make sense when you look at the back of your receiver. But then you need to go into the receiver, make the necessary adjustments, and test out this 5.1.2 Atmos configuration. And then when you know which you like best, stick with that arrangement. Brent Graves wrote in saying he'd like to get a cheap 55-inch TV for his garage. He's got a $500 budget and plans to buy around Black Friday. Well, Brent, you can do really well with $500 when you're looking at a 55-inch size. Now, I don't have a crystal ball here, but I do know that history tends to repeat itself. If we look at the 2023 TVs that are selling for under $500 at 55 inches right now, I see that the 2023 TCL Q6 is selling for $434 right now. So I reckon that the 2024 TCL Q6 will be down around that same price come Black Friday. Also, the 2024 Hisense U7N will probably dip down below $500 by Black Friday. Now, I do some comparison between those models to make your pick, and I will review both of those before Black Friday to help you decide. Scott M. writes, these days we have a lot of TV reviews, but aren't they really monitor reviews, as what actually makes them TVs, tuners, isn't ever discussed? With Nielsen referencing that nearly 23 million US homes access free TV programming using digital antennas, do you think TV reviewers will ever test TV tuners built into the sets in comparison to each other? Scott, your question could not have come at a more appropriate time. True story. I lent a buddy a TV to use until he bought his own. I'm just that kind of a friend. And when we set up the TV that he bought, shout out Eric Storm, we noticed that the TV he got didn't pull in stations quite as well as the TV that it replaced. And I thought to myself, man, you know, I wish I'd known that about this TV, that the tuner wasn't quite as good. I wish I could fold this into TV reviews. So I just got done thinking about this, and here's the challenge I'm running into. I've not figured out a way to objectively test out a tuner's performance. In this studio where I do all my TV testing, I'm gonna be able to pull in just about every single TV station available in this area because I'm in a prime spot with a pretty clear line of sight to all the broadcast towers and no massive buildings blocking or reflecting the signal. So I suppose if a TV I test can't pull in a station or two, that's a sign that that TV has a super weak tuner, and I can definitely report on that, I guess. But the real differences between one tuner and another, the ones that can pull in stations that other TVs can't, I'm just not in a good spot to test that. My friend's house would be a good spot, but I can't haul every TV I review over there. His wife would absolutely kill me. So I can't speak for other reviewers, but what I can tell you is that I'm literally not in a good place to do that kind of testing. I will also say that to me, it seems that getting the right kind of antenna for your area is going to be a far more effective way of pulling in channels than the strength of a TV's tuner. And I'd rather see people prioritize stuff like picture quality and audio quality over tuner strength, and then get the antenna that will work best for their area. I've got a video about that too, by the way. Andrew K. writes, after multiple decades of LCD screens, coupled with the financial backing of some of the largest tech companies in the world, why hasn't there been a breakthrough in the ability for the liquid crystals to fully block out the backlight? To me, it seems that that would greatly even the playing field with other newer screen technologies such as OLED and micro LED. You know, that's an interesting and valid question, Andrew, and I bet other people wonder the same thing, which is why I'm going to try and answer it. I lack a deep understanding of the science at play in a liquid crystal display. I mean, I know they use various compounds to make the liquid crystals, and those, paired with polarizers, are what make them work. What I do know, though, is that if scientists could come up with a cost-effective way to make the foundational function of a liquid crystal better, they'd do it. I just don't see scientists going, you know what? LCD is boring, let's just make some other display technology up so we don't get bored. Now, I think what's happening, and I would love a display science expert to weigh in here, is that the compounds that we can use to make an LCD panel work, or perhaps it's the very nature of a liquid crystal situation, they're inherently limited when it comes to blocking light. I mean, to see these companies jumping through so many other hoops like full array local dimming algorithms and mini LED backlights, all of which cost money to develop and make, by the way, I think that's an indication to me that the LCD itself has been taken to its limits. That's why we have VA type and IPS type and ADS type LCD panels. They've twisted and twerked the LCD as much as they possibly can. And we are where we are today because of that innovation. I think at some point it made sense to stop trying to get more milk out of a dried up cow and moved on to a different animal. Hey, before I go, an update on Knit Nerds news for those of you who've been watching that show. As we're always trying to provide the most interesting and entertaining content, we're taking a look at retooling that show, and part of that means that we're probably going to make it bi-weekly and possibly change the format. Right now, we plan to be back with it next week, so hit that notification bell if you want to know when it goes live, but we're still planning to publish Fridays, just probably every other Friday. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you and your viewership. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Keep those questions coming. Like this video if you enjoyed it or found it helpful. Subscribe to see more. I'll see you on the next one. And until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like. Oh my God, is that my worst metaphor ever? Dried up cow? I think I need to rethink my career.